tell me I can't. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I'll show you I can.
So what's the best advice to give me when I'm a teenager?
A teenager.
He's now 8.5.
But yeah, well, best advice: believe in yourself, and do good in school.
Oh dear.
Hey, study. You learn. It's important.
So, Chuck, you've got a business degree, didn't you?
Yeah, I graduated in accounting.
In accounting, you see. So he's a fighter and he's got a business degree.
So you can be a great fighter, but he's also very smart.
Yeah.
So what's that?
Well, I didn't get a degree. It's pretty. You got to use your brain and study hard. So you want to take his advice, not mine.
Well,
What's a business degree?
well, it doesn't have to just be school. Learn,
Yeah.
study. But most importantly, believe in yourself. I mean, I had nothing. I mean, I was raised by my grandfather brought me up like you can do anything you want. Everything takes work. Nothing's easy.
Yeah.
You can be given all the gifts in the world. If you don't work, someone's gonna pass you up.
Welcome to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast, and today I speak to an intimidating but humble destroyer who made his UFC debut in 1998, beating just about every big name there was to beat in the UFC. Long before Conor McGregor, he ruled over the sport and was responsible for bringing mixed martial arts to the masses, inspiring an iconic era of growth for the UFC and playing an important part in promoting the first MMA event to break over 1 million pay-per-views. The interview gives an insight into the mind of one of the greatest UFC fighters in history. So please welcome former UFC lightweight champion and UFC Hall of Famer, Chuck the Iceman Liddell, to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Well, Chuck, thanks for making it down to our offices. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Chuck the Iceman Liddell. Where did Iceman come from there?
Really, it came from my trainer, John Hackelman. I think he nicknames people a lot of times because it's easier to remember their name. You know, but he knew my name, but he was always making nicknames for people. He likes it. So, but he hadn't made a nickname for me yet, and I think it was my fourth fight kickboxing. I was at Strongbow Arena in Bakersfield, and there was about I think 15 or 16 fights on the card. But they wanted us all back there to be back there like 4:30, and the whole. So I wasn't gonna fight till like 9:30 at night because it was one of the later fights. So John says, "I'll come back and I'll tape you around 8 o'clock." We're in the back room doing nothing. I'm okay. And John comes back at 8 and he starts looking around for me. He can't find me. And people, it's happened before. Guys got their weight in, showed up to the fight, and then decided they didn't want to fight and left. But he was like, "Man, where's Chuck? Like, you can't find him." I don't think he did that. There's no way. They find him. So they finally find me, and I found a tie pad. I'm in the corner sleeping. I took a nap, and so he's like, "Man, how do you sleep right now?" Like it's like, and because he had, I think John had like 200 amateur fights between boxing, kickboxing, and 60 pro fights between boxing and kickboxing, and he said he got nervous between every single one of them. I mean, all the way through the roller coaster and emotion all the way through up into the fight, and nervous the whole day, the night before, and he's like, "How are you sleeping?" So he's just saying, "You gotta be the Iceman." He started calling me the Iceman.
That must be like, it must be quite unique to not get nervous, isn't it? Do most people, get that sort of pre-fight nerves before they go on?
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone handles it different. Some people need, some people fight different. Some people need to feel, have that emotional, charge to fight. Some people need, I think emotion clouds judgment. So I try to relax and get calm. I tend to get calm when I fight.
Right.
But yeah, it's been one of those things. For me, it's kind of like, I don't know. Same thing. I try to explain it to people a lot of times. It's like test taking. I used to take tests. I was a really good test taker. I do really good I do overperform usually on tests, not underperform to what I knew. Because one of the things was I'll study, cram, think, worry about it all the way up to the test. But as soon as I had to close the book and open the test, start the test, I'd relax because there's nothing else I could do to get better. I can't improve more. So I just go out and I just be calm, just go through and do the best I could.
Right.
And that kind of allowed me to just spit it out, right, and do well. And I feel the same way about fighting. Like you got this whole training camp. You got to make sure you get all these. And there's things in my head. I got to make sure I do this and make sure I do that. I got to get all these different training things in. I got to make sure I'm in shape. But once we get the last training session last sparring session the week before the fight, there's not much left to do. You know, and even if there was, it's not going to help. So worrying about it's not going to help now. You should have, you can look back and go, hey, I should have done this, I should have done that later. But at this point, you're done. So why not relax? All worrying about it's going to do is make you worse. It's going to hurt you. It's going to cause worry about stuff. It's all that stuff's just going to make you worse. So relax and have a good time.
Yeah.
And I always, oh, you can't say that. Like people go, oh man, go kick his ass. I'm like, man, I'm gonna do my best. And people are like, what's wrong with you? You can't say that. I'm like, yeah, I can. That's all I want from me. If I go out there and do my best, most of the time I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
I can't. There's never any guarantees, but hey, I know if I go out and do my best, I'm always gonna win. And in the end, as far as if I go out there and give it my all, give my best, and I lose, I'm still gonna be okay. I'm okay with that. I hate losing. I'm bad. I don't like losing, but it would kill me if I lost because I quit. And there's a lot of times people do stuff, and you're the only one that knows. I mean, you're the only one that really knows if you quit. Like for people for training, like when they're in practice, when they're training, I always tell people, it's a mental thing. Like you can't quit training. You can't quit while you're training because you'll do it in a fight. Because when you get putting pressure under those heavy, extreme circumstances, you're going to do what your habits are. Right? You can go back to what your habits are. If your habits are, hey man, it's too tired right now. I'm gonna quit. That's what you're gonna do in a fight. So.
I've heard you talk about tapping out in some of your previous competitors and the mindset about tapping out. Like for me, it's like and I've seen people tap out, but when I heard you on a previous interview, you sort of said, look, if you can think about tapping out, you can think about getting out of the position.
Yeah, no, I got to temper that because people, oh man, no, you can tap's okay. Like look, yes, you're gonna blow your knee out, you're gonna blow out an arm. But if it's or even like a neck crank, if it's a crank and your neck's getting hurt and you feel like, okay, there's nothing you can do and you're gonna hurt your neck, okay, stop. Because you bust your arm, you're gonna be out for 6 months and it might never be the same. But like just a choke, if I can think to tap from a choke, I can think to get out. I'll keep trying to get out until I go out. But that's just me. I mean, I don't think that's not something you tap from.
Yeah.
But like I said, that people sometimes take that as they say, oh, you can't ever tap. No, I'm realistic. If you're gonna hurt your knee, you're gonna hurt something really bad. It's okay to tap, learn to fight again another day. Live to fight another day.
Yeah. Does that mentality apply to you in other things you do, like business and outside of the ring, where it's like, look, I'm not going to tap. I'm going to find a way out. If you're in a difficult position in your business or whatever.
Well, I think it definitely translates some, but I think it goes to if you're going to tap, make sure there's no, because even with an arm bar, I'm trying just about there's a lot of different ways to get out of it, and then I'm not just tapping right when you get it, like I'm making sure that I can't get out of it and isn't some way to get around what I'm doing. And I think it's the same with business. It's just, you got to look for creative ways to get through things. A lot of times, and a lot of stuff I did when I first started doing MMA, first started learning jiu-jitsu, I was looking, and I was really good. Everyone, was surprised at how great I was at getting up off the bottom. But that's what I worked on. And I was really creative. I mean, I basically combined. Buddy taught me how to come out one side to go for this arm bar and sneak to go through an arm bar, one roll through it to a knee bar, and I was using these things. I'm like, wait a minute, if I just pull my leg out and stand up right here, I'm out. I'm like, perfect. I can just do that, and I would catch people so many times doing that move because they knew what I was doing. They knew I was going for that knee bar, so they were countering that. And all of a sudden, I pull my leg out and stand up, and they go, "Oops!" Like, oh, you see their eyes go, "Oh man, I didn't know he was going to do that." But that's being creative and trying to make changes on the fly, but also looking for that other ways to get things done. And I think that translates into business for sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I came into the sport, we kind of came in the beginning of the sport, right? From the beginning of MMA, and everybody was coming in with, okay, you have wrestling basically, which takedowns. It's called wrestling, the takedowns part, up and down. You got submissions, groundwork, and you got striking. Pretty much, you got three pretty basic elements. A lot of different ways to do them. A lot of different ways to skin a cat, but you got three different elements, right? And I was coming in with wrestling and striking. And so I had to learn jiu-jitsu. So I came in with a little advantage because I had two of them, two of the elements pretty well, and then I had to learn another one. But what I did coming in is I came in and I started, how can I learn this fast? What's the fastest way I can get this proficient enough to fight at the top level with all these people? And what I kind of did, my creative way of doing it, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to learn how to get off the bottom and then stay in good position when I'm on the ground. So I spent all my time working on those two things. Don't get submitted. Countering submissions and staying in good position so they don't get me anywhere where I'm in danger, and then get out. And it was made it. I learned about 25% of jiu-jitsu really, really well. But I could get with some of the guys that are black belts in jiu-jitsu and get in there, and I'm able to get up and get away from them and not let them hurt me, and hey, we're good.
Yeah.
So now we're back to here. Now they got to fight me, and they got to try to take me down, which I'm pretty proficient at both those things. So, it made that adapting me for the sport to that really made a difference.
Yeah. Do you think, like, obviously in the UFC, you've got many different styles that you've got to learn, and I guess nowadays probably the kids are coming up and they're getting that sort of balance in terms of training. But I guess when you started, it wasn't quite as developed, and you had to sort of go back and learn things. Do you think that, like when you were doing that, were there certain things that you thought, look, if I focus, like you mentioned, if I get these few things right, I can't learn everything, but if I kind of get these few things right, then that's going to be what I need to become good all round? Or did you just have to kind of go through and learn everything?
No, that's exactly what I was trying to do. I was trying to take the shortcut for me was like, what are the basics I need here,
right,
to get me by, and then I'd add to those.
Right.
It's kind of like it's like learning a series of something. Like I basically did a couple basic moves to get off the bottom and stay solid and do things, and then added from there. And the one thing I never stopped learning. I kept getting better, kept getting better. And I'd learn when I had some time, and obviously I'd do training. I'd do training. I'd learn submissions. I'd learn some other stuff. But the main things I concentrated on was getting in bad positions, getting out of bad positions, getting back to my feet, getting away. I always stayed with my core basics. Always worked on my core basics, and then you add things as you go. But I think that's with a lot of things. You figure out what you need to know to get by, and then what you need, and keep adding to it as you go. And as you go, other people are going to be getting better. And even if you're the best at what you're doing right now, in our sport, if you're not learning, if you weren't evolving back then, you were dying. And there were some of those guys that were really good, and then they came from that, my style's the best, and then they never learned other side. I remember I was with in Pride, and before Vanderman fought Crow Cop, I think, and who did he fight? Coleman was going to fight Fedor.
Right.
And they've been in the MMA for quite a while at the time. those guys before me. And we were in the night before fight, after we were in the workout room just warming up, and I was there with Scott Adams, my training partner, and they're like, hey man, they don't. And first off, they didn't have a fight plan. Yeah, game plan yet. I go, how do you think I should fight this guy? It's tomorrow. Okay. Well, here. Okay. For Randleman, it was kind of cool. I worked this corner. He actually wound up knocking out Mirko Krokop. No one saw that coming. But I was in there. I was telling him, look, man, all the way in or all the way out. You're a kicker. You stand in kicking distance. You're gonna get. He's gonna eat you alive. So all the way in, all the way out. So he wound up knocking him out. But the thing that Coleman says to me, so can you show me how to defend leg locks? Because Scott Adams, my partner, was really good at leg locks, really good leg lock guy, especially at the time. And he and I go, okay, I'll show you this. I don't know if against a guy that's good at leg locks, you're fighting if it's really gonna help teach you right now, but okay. And I go, okay, put me in a heel hook. And he looked at me like I just asked him to do some quantum physics problem. Like, it's like, oh wow, like how have you been in the sport this long and you don't know how to do a basic heel hook? Like, how you don't have to show, like, it's like, how am I supposed to show, if you don't know how I'm doing what I'm trying to do, how am I supposed to show you how to defend it? Mm-hmm. So, it's those guys getting stuck in their mindset and I just got to do it my way. I'm going to do everything my way.
Right.
This is the only way to do it now.
Right.
I think that goes on. When you do something, when you're really good at it, eventually, people are going to figure it out, and you got to keep evolving.
Yeah.
You got to keep moving.
Did you feel that you evolved through, I guess, adversity as well? Like, I don't know exactly because I'm not a martial artist, but I sort of read about you one time being, I think it was being choked out or something, and it was one of the skills that you hadn't developed, and then after that you went on to kind of really master some of those chokes or...
Yeah, it was early in my career, and I just didn't even know he had me, I didn't know he had anything. And I had 10 seconds left, and I was sitting there, and he had this arm, and I'm like, oh, it's not hard to get out, but you know what, I'll just sit here, because there's only 10 seconds left. And then I still to this day go, hey, how come you said I went out before the bell? Because if I went out before the bell, shouldn't you have stopped it before the bell? Because I stopped it after the bell.
Right.
And said I went out before the bell.
Okay.
I still argue that, but it's all right. It's all right, it's good. But I hadn't learned that yet, and I hadn't got there yet. I hadn't done a lot of submissions. And the guy, Jeremy, was a great submission guy. I was just in the process of learning.
Yeah.
There's always, you got to go as fast. You only learn so much. It takes time.
Yeah. Did that sort of change you, and you suddenly thought, okay, I'm going to have to, this is something I've got to master and get better at? Then did you after that?
That was one of the things that cemented for me that I need to learn as much. Like, as before, I was just doing to stand up. Don't worry about learning the submissions. I need to learn the submissions so I know what they're trying to get me to do.
Right.
I know when they have something and when they don't, and really it's kind of like knowing. I need to know what you want to know what you're trying to set up. If you're a real slick guy and you're really good at setting something up, okay, why is he going there? Does he want me to go there? If I go there, what's going to happen next? We're always going to go for that. Okay, that if I don't know what you're trying to get, it's kind of hard. It's really easy to trick me into doing what you want. Mm-hmm. But if I know what you want, it makes it a lot harder.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And with your striking, you're obviously known for your striking and the power of your punches. With martial arts being very sort of having very different skills, how much did you continue to work on your strengths to make them sort of even better, or do you work on some of your sort of your weaknesses and to try and bring those up to the same level as your strengths?
Well, it's a combination. I think you always had to stay sharp and stay For me, I had to stay sharp. Start with my striking. Start with my stuff. But it got to the point. It was kind of like it felt like okay. I get to the point where I got to the point I felt if my timing's on, hit his eye when I want to hit him, I'll knock him out. If I catch him with it, it's going to knock him out. I have the power. I know it's there. Once you have that confidence and you got the power, but we always worked on different techniques, different ways to do things. We added things here and there and stuff, I was always trying to improve my other game to get around, but yeah, it's just. I think the majority of it was just, I don't know, once you got there, with power and stuff, and I just need to have my timing on, make sure my timing was on, and I didn't have to work as much on it. I spent a lot of time working jiu-jitsu and working on stuff that I was trying to do stuff that I didn't do well, or things that I do, or adding things that, even my striking, adding different strikes, having different punches or different. Because I threw a lot of different punches from different angles, but I worked on them. I tried to learn different ways to get around things.
Yeah, I was watching last night your Tito fight, and like the punches, they came from so many different angles, and they all seemed to land. It was like, gee, I just couldn't imagine being on the on the other side of that. It was terrifying, really. So when you go into a fight, like I guess you mentioned the guys that when you was working with them in your early days. How much of it now is strategy? Because it sounded like some of the people you're coaching before, it was like, look, they're just great fighters and they go in there and they sort of deal with it almost like on the day. But now is the strategy important? And did would you say you're a strategic fighter or just very skillful?
I think strategy's always important. You go out there and you look at film, you try to figure out, and I'm good at picking out tendencies on people. Even when I spar with somebody or the first time we fight, if I've never seen the film, I spend the first round trying to figure out what kind of tendencies he has. If I do this, what will he do? Okay, if I do this, because I want to be able to fake that and do something else. So I'm trying to land that big punch or that big kick, and if I can I do a really good job of setting things up. And I'm always thinking when I'm out there. That's all I'm not an emotional fighter. I'm always out there. I'm always trying to figure out how can I get you to react to this. Now, what's interesting is when you're fighting, like I saw it a lot when I was doing the Ultimate Fighter coaching, because your guys are really good, but they're not quite at that level yet. And I'm sparring with them and going, and some of the guys are really cerebral fighters and thinking and doing, and they're actually easier for me to set up because they see what I'm doing and they're ready, but I can't hit them twice with the same combination, but I can set them up real well. But then you get the guys that are really good athletes, but haven't really got into, don't really know, they're more like being that good athletes out there fighting and haven't really got the mental side of it yet. And you go out there and it's hard to set them up. You get with the same combination 4 times in a row,
right?
But it's really hard to set them up because they're not falling for. They don't fall for fakes because they don't even know you're faking.
Right.
It's like what? Okay. Can you stop? I'm out here, guy. Sometimes I just hit you with that 3 times in a row. You can't let me do the same combination 3 times in a row and land it. It's like, please pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. This isn't just we're sparring. This is training.
Yeah.
If nothing else, work on thinking right now. Yeah. But,
and do you think some of that comes down to, like, you're obviously you're nicknamed the Iceman, but do you think that comes down to just whilst you're in there, you've obviously got all the skills and the athleticism, but being able to sort of be in there and be calm and just watching what's going on? Do you think that's a big advantage as a?
I think it's a big advantage being able to do that. Yeah. And I think it's being able to read fighters, being able to read. Like I used to tell people I could tell when I hurt you. They get like almost like a little gloss over your eyes. Oh, okay, I see it. He's a little foggy right now. Here we go. And I had that killer instinct that they say not everybody has. But I'd go after you. Like, so if I hurt you, I know you're hurt. It's not gonna. if you get kind of a little rocked and you're in there, like guys when they're sitting there, the difference for those of the people that don't know, like for when you're hurt for a little bit, there's a time in there where I just have to tap you. If I catch you with a 50% punch in that state, it'll finish it. But that's why guys, are trying to move away. They get away and they survive. And they come back, and now it's not. Now I really got knocked out again. Like I hit with a knockout punch again.
Right.
Not just a little one.
Yeah. So you I'd just like to spend a bit of time on your trainer, like that you met sort of fairly early in your career, if it's correct, John.
Yeah.
And so tell me the story about kind of how you guys got involved, and why he was such a sort of, I guess, an important person in your career.
Okay. Well, I think it's a long story, but we'll go with it. Let's go. So anyway, so I used to train. I trained in Koi Kon Karate Do. That's my original karate style. Became a black belt in that. I would go train at a local. They opened a local gym in Slow. When I first went up to college, they didn't have one there, but someone came up. They came over and opened one up there, a school up there, and they were running for a while, doing okay. But they called me. I rarely went in there. I used to go. I spar other places and train other places because there just wasn't anybody for me to train with. They spar with in there really. And so they called me up one day. Hey, this black belt's coming to spar with our guys. So do you want to come in and represent us, kind of thing? Sure. Well, okay, I'll be in. So I came in, and John was the guy, John Hackelman, and I come in and we're doing spar, like wall training and no head contact stuff. We were just doing like light contact to the head, kind of sport karate kind of stuff. But there was some wrestling and stuff. And I took him down a couple of times wrestling, but other than that, to me, he was kicking my butt. All right, I hadn't had anybody do that to me in years, and I was like, damn, this guy's good. And it was funny because afterwards, we in the office, oh man, you kicked his ass. I'm like, what fight were you watching? Like, I didn't feel that way, but I was in the back. I would talk to him in the back, and he gave me his card. Hey, if you don't want to train, come on up to the house. So I put his card in my pocket, and that same week, I had it in my wallet, and I went to Vegas to watch my friend Alfie Alcaraz kickbox. I got him into when he was wrestling at Cal Poly. I got him into doing some karate stuff, and he wound up going home to Vegas where he lived and becoming a kickboxer. So I was going out to watch him fight, and Nick, One Kick Nick, is his trainer, and he's the promoter. So he comes over to me at the weigh-ins and goes, "Hey Chuck, Alfie says you're pretty tough. You want to fight tomorrow?" I went, "Sure, I'll fight." So I go weigh in, and the commission guys go up. "So how many fights do you have?" I looked at him. "Oh, I've never fought before." Then went, "Nick, this ain't gonna happen. The guy, they're gonna have me fight. The guy, I think he was 15-0 or 15-1. The guy was gonna have me fight. Like I was gonna step in for the main event. I'm like, well, what's wrong with you, Nick? Anyway, but he's funny. I love Nick. We're friends. But so he's like, you know what? So I was disappointed actually that I didn't get a fight. And he goes, you know what? Why don't you go home, train, and I'll do another card another couple months, and I'll put you on it. Oh, okay, cool. And so I driving home from Vegas, I remember I had this card in my pocket and it said kickboxer, world champion kickboxer on the card. I'm like, oh man, call this guy. So I call him up. So we go up to his house and train. So it was the first time I come up to train. I drive up there on my motorcycle, beat up motorcycle. I'm up there. His house is about 20 minutes from where I live. And it's up in the hills in Rio Grande. We go up the hill, walk up the stairs, and he had a buddy with him. We get there, get this like 800 square foot like room, and he's got, oh yeah, well let's just box. Now I've never just boxed in my life. Always karate and all sorts of fighting, street fighting, all sorts of fighting. Never done just hands, but okay, why not? I really didn't care. But so we put on boxing gloves, we started sparring. He beat me for about unofficially for 19 straight minutes. No break. Finally, Jesus Sanchez, who was the guy watching, he goes, "Oh, hey guys, come on, let's go." He's the one that told me it was 19 minutes. That's enough. Can we just train? I think he just stopped. Didn't want me to see me get hit anymore.
Yeah.
But so we trained, and then afterwards, it started raining, and I was getting on my motorcycle, and John's like, "Hey, you coming back tomorrow?" Sure, yeah. So I push a bike in the garage and take my truck. I'm like, huh? Oh no, it's okay. Like that's okay. I can. No, seriously, you come back tomorrow, right? So, yeah. Here, take my truck. 3 keys, brand new truck, big old truck. And then I trained at his house probably for the next 6-7 years. We both had gyms. After that, we both had gyms at that point.
Right.
So we had other places to train, but we still trained at his house, but not every day. But I was up at the house every day for probably the next 6-7 years.
Wow.
Started training. It was, we started fighting. It was good times.
What do you think was sort of special about that relationship that you had? Because it sounded like you was with him for pretty much most of your career. What do you think he was able to sort of bring out of you that made it work?
A lot of it. He came in when I first started. He wasn't trying to change anything. He was just trying to add things. I always liked that attitude. And I adopted it, or I kind of had it anyway. But I always kind of felt that about stuff. I used to go to the kung fu school when I was in high school. We were supposed on Fridays. It was kata day at our school, my gym.
Right.
So I go in and do kata for about an hour and a half, and then I leave and go to the open sparring at the kung fu class, because I wanted to learn other people's stuff. And so I've always felt like try to learn everything, and then use what works, right? What works for you, because not everything works the same for everybody. What works for me might not work for you, but might as well try it, right? So, but John always just said, "Well, why don't you try doing it this way?" He was always adding things, but not trying to change. We just train and fight, and John was a great coach, man, and a good guy. Like it was a good, that was just that. It was like a family up there.
Right.
We come up to go hang out. We'd hang out half the time. We'd hang out for about an hour and a half before workout time would be, say, 4. We get up there at 4, and we wouldn't work out till like 5:30. But he'd have, hey, you want beans or rice? There's on the stove, and yeah, all right, cool. Let's eat some. All right, we're gonna train now. Let's go. Yeah. So it was like a family up there. We were all, it was the hardest thing when I opened a school. I mean, I go all over the place. When I first opened my school in San Luis Obispo, it was really tough because John didn't charge people to come to his house and train. But it was kind of like you kind of earned your way in. Like, I mean, unless you came in by special guest or something, if you wanted to come up there and just train, you got a beating for X amount of months before. And then I remember one guy, I think he had a big mouth and I had these many making up stuff, but he came up and he was training with us, and every time he'd show up, he'd show up late sometimes and be like, just trying to miss sparring. John would look down and see him, we could look over the hill to see him parking and go, "Hey, Mike's here. Everyone, get your gear on." We'd gear back up and spar again. He actually fought for us. He became tough. But at one point, John looked at me and goes, "This kid's pretty tough. Well, maybe we should train him." Yeah, probably. Nice kid. But it was cool. He actually went fighting for us and doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, John. So anyway, John has people have that reputation.
Yeah.
For like the first year of me opening my gym, I think I was 85% women, because guys did not want to come in.
No,
they thought they were going to come in and get beat up when they came in. So I'm like, it wasn't that way, but this is a gym. We're working out. You come and spar, and I was one of those guys at my gym. I don't allow you to beat up on guys. If two of you guys want to meatheads want to beat each other up, fine. Mm-hmm. If it's mutual, but I didn't like people picking on people. you don't learn anything from that.
Yeah. So with the, correct me if I'm wrong, but I understood that John didn't, wasn't part of your final fight. Why did that not happen?
It wasn't. It was nothing personal. It was nothing between us. I knew John did not want me to fight anymore.
Really?
And he was against me fighting again. He was, probably right, but he's totally against me fighting again, and I didn't want to make him. I knew he would coach me if I asked him to.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to put him in that position.
No.
It really that was really it.
Yeah.
I just didn't want him to have to do that. So, it is what it is. We had nothing. It was nothing personal. I would love to have him as my coach again.
Yeah.
Could ask for a better coach, but it's one of those things. I just, just didn't want to put him in the position to have to fight, after, knowing where he stood, 100% on the issue.
Yeah. Was that tough on your side? Because I guess having someone like that you'd sort of grown up with, being in your, on your corner, not to be there. Was that sort of difficult at the time?
I don't know. It would have been. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. I was fine either way. I would have liked him to, but I wanted him to do what he felt comfortable doing. I didn't really want to push him to do anything.
Yeah.
It just didn't. We had a great run together, a great career. We were friends. I was just, always be family. So it's just one of those things. I didn't want to put. It was a decision I was making. I was going to do something and didn't want to force anybody else to do it.
No. Did you speak to him afterwards about it at all?
We've talked a little bit about it. It is what it is. He's not going to. He's not one of those "I told you so" kind of guys.
No.
So he's not going to. There's no point in it. But yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. So looking back on your UFC career, it was a hell of a career, really, and obviously sort of being able to sort of look back on and describe it. How would you sort of describe it to yourself? In terms of the sort of highs and the lows and the bits that you were proud of and the challenges, because really you're one of the sort of key people that actually took UFC to the masses. When you started, it was nothing. It was an underground sport pretty much, and it wasn't taken seriously. So how would you look back on it, both I suppose from your own perspective and also from the UFC's perspective?
The hardest part for that for me was letting Tito off the hook.
I
felt like I let Tito off the hook because
really?
Now he was supposed to fight me, and we were fighting. Me and Randy were fighting for an interim title because Tito refused to fight me. And the thing is Tito knew I was going to beat him. He knew, because when we trained together, I used to beat him up at everything. I'll beat him in a wrestling match. Well, back in our prime, when I was in my prime and he was in his prime, I'll beat him in a wrestling match. And that's what he's good at. Jiu-jitsu match, he couldn't beat me. I think he can submit other people better than I could, but he still wouldn't beat me in a submission match. I'd out-control him and he wouldn't dig me down. I'd take him down. I'd score him and I could out-control him and out-position him in a jiu-jitsu match. So you add striking to that, it's a done deal because he's afraid to get hit. So that's anybody that's afraid to get hit, this kind of like flinching, afraid to get hit. I always say, oh, he doesn't like to get hit. Well, no one likes to get hit. But what I mean is, you dislike it enough, it causes a problem.
Right.
If you're that worried about getting hit that it causes a problem, we're flinching. It's really hard to fight a stand-up guy. A guy that's got good hands, but that he just didn't want to fight me. But I let him off the hook because, if I beat Randy, then it would have been I had the interim title, he has the title. We would have kind of been forced to either, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
And by losing, he didn't have to. But then Randy went in and beat him, and went on from there.
Yeah. But you must, I guess, that sort of rivalry and that excitement, you know, that must have also been part of kind of growing the interest in UFC as well. Do you think?
That a lot of that's, you know, looking back, it was all, that all really helped. You know, it all, if you look, now looking back at the ups and downs of it, you know, that made it interesting.
Yeah.
That made made everything more exciting. So, you know, it worked out.
Yeah.
So sometimes things happen for a reason, right?
And that rivalry, like I know, you know, you see some sports and that, like if you look at Conor, you know, I guess he's great at creating that whole sort of, you know, I don't know what you call it, like sort of theater around the show, and that, you know, that kind of draws people in.
Yeah, well, I like to say for that, like these are the guys, like what makes them different for the sport is he brings in, like a guy like him, he not only brings in the casual fan, which is the guys that can get the casual fan going there, they're worth more, right? To the company, worth more to the show, get more people to watch, because now you get casual fans watching. I mean, hardcore fans are going to watch. If you got good fighters fighting, they're going to watch. You know, that they're fans. Whether they like it or not, they're going to watch it, because if it's good fighters fighting, they're going to watch fights. That's what we do, right? That's what we watch fights. I like if you got two good guys fighting, I'll watch it. But what these guys do, some of these guys do, is they get that casual fan to go now. And what Conor's been able to do, and which makes it amazing, he's able to get that next level where people that don't usually watch fights are watching.
Yeah.
Makes it like, you know, something you have to see, or an event night where, you know, like Mayweather was good at doing that. Like you got, you know, Mayweather and Pacquiao, you got to, you know, I'd go to a fight party and there's people that I don't know if they've ever watched a fight in their life there, you know, but it's the thing to do is go rent that fight and watch it.
Right.
Right. So they're watching it. You know, and the guys are able to do that, or the guys that are worth the most to the company.
Yeah.
You know?
I've heard you talk about that before, and I don't know whether, you know, how it plays into your fighting, but you've said that, you know, you can either do probably what's right to win the fight, or you can do what's right for the fans to make it an interesting fight.
Well, no, I've never. To me, if you're trying to win the fight by winning the fight, like you're not just trying to squeak by. And the only thing I don't like, and I look as a coach and a manager, I get it. Right. Like, and I know I've said it to a guy before. I remember one of my jiu-jitsu guys, Cruz Gomez. He was like a fight. I think it was Arizona. It was a small fight, but he went in. He shot in, took the guy down, went for an armbar, missed it. Was on the bottom. Guy did a couple, blah 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 blah. And then he got away, and then he got back up. He shot in again, took him down, went for a triangle right after he got down there, and then guy got on top, stayed on top. And so end of the first round ends. I'm like, look, next, can you take him down, hit him a few times before you go for something, get some points because you lost that round. These guys that don't know what's going on, they think he took you down and he beat you. Like he didn't do anything, but if you're not going to get the submission, you need to at least score some points first. So I get the idea of, as a coach, wanting you to just go out there and score enough points to win a round and win the fight, right? As a fan, I want you to go out and finish the fight. Now, I'm the type of guy, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you ground and pound. I don't care if you submit a guy. I don't care if you knock him out. As long as you're trying to do one of those three things, I'm happy. And I know the difference between stalling and scoring points and trying to finish. Right. And so my thing is, I think and it's up to you. Like there's different ways. You can be a guy. Look at Mayweather. Not to be one of the most boring fighters. I mean, arguably one of the best defensive boxers of all time, but one of the most boring fighters in the world. But who's had more pay-per-views than him, right? So that's one way to do it. If you don't know, you win. He was 50-0, right? Whatever that's where he's at, right?
I don't know.
But anyway, he's you don't. If no one can beat you, people will watch. Yeah. Even if you're boring, people will still watch. And And I really like the fact that, like, that's one of the things with the UFC I really like is no matter how boring you are, if you're the best, you will get your shot.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I mean, you might, maybe some of these guys loudmouths jump and get a few get some early shots or jump a few people. But, you know, hey, when if they're selling tickets and you're getting paid, increasing the pay for you, that's what is what it is.
So what's your thoughts on winning, and when do you think you kind of had that attitude? Because I've heard, you know, on previous interviews that you'll do anything to win regardless of sort of where it is. You've just got that sort of competitive mindset. Was that something that was just natural to you, or something that your grandfather or anyone sort of trained into you when you were younger?
You know, I've always tried to I try to think how that was, but I've always been that, like, my mom used to joke, she's like, you're the guy that would trip your girlfriend and they beat her up the stairs. You know, like, you're like, what is, like, I didn't like to lose at anything. I didn't want to lose it. You know, checkers, I wanted to win at everything. But it was, I mean, I don't know where that came from exactly, or how it got that way. But I always wanted to win. I always wanted to compete, but I always wanted to compete. Like if there wasn't like luck games that are just playing luck, I would never, like, I'd be like, you know, 5 minutes in the game, I'm like, okay, if there's no strategy to it, no thinking to it, no way to win, no way to improve your chances of winning by out working somebody out doing something, it just wasn't interesting to me.
Right.
You know, and I always talk to people about that. That's one of the things that this fits in here, kind of. I figured we'll get around to it. But anyway, like, so karate was one of those things that I begged my mom to do, and finally got to start doing when I was 12. And I got it from watching Kung Fu theater. You'd see the demonstrations in between the thing, and they'd see that on TV, and I thought that was the coolest thing, these crazy demonstration stuff these guys do. So I think these guys are magicians, you know, breaking boards and do all these crazy things, right? And that's what I thought was cool. So I went in and started taking karate, and got lucky. We ran into this gym that's real traditional style, like old school. Like, okay, they show you a technique and have you go do 500. Go do 500 on the right side, 500 on the left side, and then we'll check it and see if you need it. And I'm an ADD kid. When I can't sit still, like, you want me to stand there and do 500. But I wanted it. I wanted to learn. So I wanted a new technique. I wanted to learn something new. So I want to get this down. So I'd sit there and do 500 each time. They'd come over, and it really kind of helped me with my being able to focus doing other things too, because it helped me focus in school, which actually really helped. But anyway, so I'm learning this, and in our gym, the Koikon we're at, I mean, the typical person, they had a year membership you had to buy to start, right? And most people were done about 3 to 6 months. Because at about 3 to 6 months, they figured out there's no magic to it. Yeah. It's just hard work. But for me, I figured out that the harder I work at this, I can pass that guy. I can get better than him. If I keep working hard, I can get better than him. The harder I work, the more people I can get better than. Oh, that's how it works? Perfect. I love this. And I started doing it all the time. And I used to do karate all the time. Like, I do a wrestling practice, and after wrestling practice was done, I go home real quick, so I go to karate. I go to, I do football. I mean, I'd stay in at lunch and during lunch I'd sit there in the library doing my homework, trying to get all my stuff done. So after football, I could go straight to karate. And I just did it all the time. Because I loved it. Anywhere I could squeeze it in, I did karate. So I was always training. And it was funny because I've seen a lot of stuff on people that have gotten really good at what they do. And one of the common things is it wasn't work to them.
Right.
Like I watched this one. I don't even remember the kid, but they're talking about a kid piano player. like 8 years old or 9 years old, and they in the middle of the interview, they're like, "So how many hours a day do you practice?" And he looked at him and said, "Huh? What? I don't know. I just play." And that was it. I mean, he just played.
Right.
He did it for hours on end, but he didn't have some, I got to do it 2 hours a day to get this.
Right.
I got to do this and this. So you always hear people say that. No, I just did it. Like I love doing it. I did it.
Yeah. So there was a connection. You understood the connection between putting in the hours and results, and there was no shortcuts. But also, you enjoyed putting in the hours at the same time.
Yeah, but you didn't have to tell me to do it. No one had to ask me to do it. No one had to tell me. There's so many. That's this. I mean, obviously, I had people going, "Okay, I need you to go do that. I need you to go do that." But I was there to find out. I wanted to do more. So.
And has that worked? Because I know you've done public speaking, you've done acting, you know, you've got businesses. Do those same principles, you know, the work ethic and the putting in the time, did you find those have got you through in other areas outside of your sport?
Definitely, but like it's a little more work.
Right.
You know, it's not like a thing. Certainly, like in public speaking for me, like it's never been easy.
Right.
Like it's not something I enjoy. Like I don't. Like I like telling stories. You get up and we get up there and like I can I can stand up and talk as long as you want. If I got someone moderating it, someone wants to keep me reeling me in, someone that knows me enough to know, okay, these people they don't know the background. You got to give them some background to that story. Otherwise, you're in the middle and they're going, where are we? They're not swimming. Yeah. They're stuck out there. But, but it's something that I work at. But I know if I work on it, I get it. If I have to do it and I get it set and I work on it, I know how to get there.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on failure? And the reason that this question is really relevant to a lot of people at the moment, that with what's going on in the world today, there's people that are out of jobs or they've climbed the ladder and their businesses have gone down. And I guess there's probably a lot of examples of people where they feel as though they've just failed and that's it. Where do they go? You've obviously you've had a good long career and you've had a huge amount of successes and you've had a few losses and what you could call failure. How what does failure mean to you in terms of losing what you wanted to go out and achieve, and how do you rebound over that loss?
Well, for me, really, the failure never happens until you quit. You give up, you're done, you throw in the towel. That can be failure. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times with certain businesses or certain things, it's time to throw in the towel. There's got people, hey man, you've done your best. Certain relationships, you've done your best. You still got to throw. It happens. Everybody. You can't control everything.
No.
But it's really when you give up. And to me, giving up doesn't mean quitting. Doesn't mean just okay. I gotta let my business go or move on to something. I gotta let my business go. Where are you going? Okay. You've made a decision not to do the business. Well, now what? You got to do something, right? You got some free time. Let's go. It's one of those things that there's always somewhere to go. There's always some way to go.
Right.
If you want to think like a winner, you want to be a winner, keep moving. You got to put one foot in front of the other, figure out, take some time, figure out a direction and just start putting one foot in front of the other.
Right.
I mean, as long as you continue to do that, you're not a failure. You failed. Well, we all have. You're not a failure. There's a difference.
How long does it take you to, if you've had what you would class as a personal loss against your goals, how long does it take you, when you sort of fight's ended and you get home, how long is it before you're in the sort of positive Chuck mode and I'm going to go out again and kill it?
The funny thing is when I've done that, I think one of the things I've always had is, man, I need another shot at that. I can do it. I can get it done. I can figure it out. I can feel okay, and it's more of a okay. Let's look at it. What did I do wrong? What can I do better? How do I get this done? And if I don't know how to, if maybe I need to go. Maybe I need to find a different coach for this. Maybe I need help on this. Maybe I need help on that. Maybe I need to work my wrestling more. Maybe I need this, whatever it is. And I go out and start finding it, because I go out as soon as I will start working for it. I mean, sitting around moping is not going to do me any good. It's like anything else. A lot of stuff, sitting around complaining about it, don't get me wrong. Like I've had my downs where, and I take a little time, but I mean, a day, two, how much more do you need? Like I mean, you can't kick yourself for too long. You made some mistakes. You made a mistake. Did you intentionally screw it up? No. And if you did, you got some other problem, I guess. But I mean, for me, it's time to get back to work. I mean, the time when you gotta take a little more time off is when I won. I win. I'm on top of the world. Okay, maybe we take a couple weeks off. Yeah. Go have some fun. It's just time to get back to work. I mean, I don't see any reason in taking any extra time. You're gonna feel better when you're working. I tell people, hey man, when you figure out, sometimes you gotta figure out what's out there for you. I try not to get too, you say something, people want to apply it to everything. Like, ask me. Like I'll help you try to apply it to different things. It's different. There's nuances to everything. Yeah. But for the most part, you need to look at what's out there, look what's available, and start working. Yeah. Start working for it.
I've heard you after fights, when you've been interviewed after a loss, and it's interesting because listening to the way you talk, you're almost kind of like, you're not admitting that you've done anything wrong. It's that mindset of, well, yeah, I didn't do this, or I could have done that, or it's very much a sort of, in your mind, you're not lost. You just kind of, you didn't do a few things when you should have done. Is that something that you have to train at? Because I know, when I'm running a business, there are times where you can kind of let things come into your head, and you can then start questioning yourself and doubting yourself. You obviously don't have, well, it doesn't seem as though you've got that self-doubt. Is that something you're just gifted with, or do you have to?
I think I don't know if I was gifted with it, or it got there, and then it just never left.
Right.
And I never let it go. But that's it's that confidence. It's that I can fix this. I can do this. If I work hard, if I have that belief in myself, I work hard enough, I can do anything. And I mean, I was raised that way. My grandpa, my mom, everyone's like, hey man, you can be anything you want. You just gotta work for it. You gotta get out there and do it. Put your hand down, get after it. No one's gonna hand it to you. No one's gonna give it to you. So but I think it's one of those things. It's a constant thing. It's something that it is something you have to continue to do. Like, you have to continue to support. I have the whole thing about, I talk to people about mental toughness.
Right.
And mental toughness for me, like it's something that, and I've done a lot of research on it now, but it's an everyday thing. It's something that you have to be mindful of every day.
Really?
You can't turn it off and turn on and turn it off when you want to.
Right.
It's not like one of those things where, I want it now. I need my mental toughness now. Let's go. And and I actually told a story the other day about where after I retired, a couple years after I retired, I was in Hawaii running a hill with the friend. I wasn't running. We were supposed to walk up this hill, and one of my friends started running up the hill, and I started running after him. Okay, so now we're racing up the hill. Up with these big steps. It's a long way. It's a good workout. And I was in horrible shape, but I wasn't in great shape either. But and I've been retired a couple of years, and kind of letting, I don't have to do that. Letting things go, and not have that day-to-day thing. And for the first time that I can remember in my life, I thought about, crossed my mind, should I let him win?
Really?
And I went, wow. Hell no, I shouldn't let him win. I ran past him. He started dying, and then I'm halfway up the hill and going ahead of him, and I'm like, you know what? I got to finish this thing. After that remark to myself, so I ran all the way to the top. But anyway, so I made the right decision. But that was the first time I remember ever having to make that decision.
Wow.
You know, like ever having that actually cross my mind.
Yeah.
And that made me think about what I always said. So I was getting used to make the habit of I was allowing myself, I don't have to go work out today. I'm done. I'm retired. I'm good. I can relax. And you do that enough. You do that enough times about different things, and it starts becoming easier. That window of letting it go becomes easier and easier. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
So for me, it's one of those things. And then I started doing some longer story, but I started doing some research on that to help a friend out, and because I always used to tell, that's one of the things I wouldn't buy. I can't teach you chin, and I'm not willing to teach you mental toughness. But if you're going to come to me as a fighter and you want me to help you, those two things, one I can't do anything about, the other one I'm not willing to do it. So,
right.
But like my buddy asked me for help, and I was like, okay. I started doing research on it, and it was pretty consistent with it. That's one of those things. Like it's little things. It's everything. The way you start training someone, teaching someone, is just the small things.
Yeah.
You know, brushing your teeth every day, getting routines, getting stuff that you do. You know, just little things will start helping you with it, being mentally tough. And that's part of the confidence thing. Once you start doubting yourself about so many things, it's doubt grows. And it's like exponential. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you start worrying, you know, you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
I just kind of always felt like no matter what, I think it's, how are you so relaxed about this? Like, what this is going on? We're going to do this. I'll figure it out. I'll make it work one way or another. This is going to be okay. And so far, I'm so good. I'm 50 years old. It's worked out for me. So far, so good. It's worked out.
Has that, when you've retired, has that sort of mindset been more difficult to keep with? Because I guess when you're training and you've got a fight, you've always got to stay on, and you always got to reasonably stay in shape, and you've got a lot to think about. But when that's no longer there, was that difficult to sort of get that reason to sort of keep that mental toughness?
Right. No, that's the thing too. Like it's all of a sudden, like for me, it was a really weird time. Like I didn't know it even really that it was a weird time. It was a weird time for me. I'm used to having this thing up here that controlled everything. I want to be the best in the world, and that drove me. Like that was keep me a reason to do all these things. A reason to train, reason not to go do this, or reason to go do that. Reason to be in the gym, do whatever it had. And all reason to not go out drinking too much. Reason not, whatever. It was my reasons for a lot of things. And all of a sudden that's gone. And you're like, I guess I don't have to do that. I guess I don't have to. And then I don't want to do that. And you start getting, wait a minute, this is too easy to do this. Now I'm not doing what I should do. And I'm not, so it put me. I was in a weird position for a while. It's a weird position to be in. And it's funny talking to a lot of athletes get that way too when they're done with their career, because you've had something you're working for your whole life coming up. For the majority of your life, you had it coming up next week, next month, whatever. You had that coming up. But all of a sudden, you don't have that. It's gone, and which isn't a bad thing. But I have a lot of opportunities. I was really lucky with the, I crossover and my fans are great. I'm able to do a lot of things, and I make money doing a lot of things, do a lot of different things. I kept most, I didn't spend a lot of my money, so I'm doing okay. Yeah.
And you love fighting as well. You weren't just doing it for the sport.
I love my job. Yeah. I got paid to do what I love for a living. I love it. And people ask me, well, you don't miss this, do you? Yeah, I kind of do. You know, I miss training every day. I miss the guy, you know, hanging out with the guys every day, going and you know, I miss cutting weight, you know, get ready for fight week. How, you know, all those things. They're all fun, and I miss fighting, but you know, there's a time and a place for everything. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things.
Have you found something now to sort of put that energy and focus into?
Well, yeah. Now I'm starting to work on some other stuff, and one of the things I did, you know, I was starting to do the acting. I like acting, and I'm trying to get better at it, and you know, that's interesting for me. It's fun. It's a way to make some money and stay relevant. You know, keep my name out there. You know, but you know, we went to that thing with Tony Robbins, and I was trying to kind of figure out, you know, what I wanted to do, really. And you know, I thought, you know, I kind of know, I don't know how to say that. I feel weird saying it. Like I get people tell me what effect I've had on their life, or I've helped them through. You know, I had a kid guy come to me and couldn't even talk. Oh, it's okay, man. But he said I got him through. Like he wasn't supposed to walk, and like I got him through his by watching my fights before every therapy. They got him through therapy, and he was walking. You know, so. You know, you guys saying, people that say that, you're like, and it's weird for me. Like I don't feel that way. I did what I love for a living, you know, and I share my stories and what I've done growing up, and if that helps people, it's great. But you know, now looking at it, I got so many of those type of things. I'm thinking, well, maybe I should go out and try to help people more, like maybe make a bigger impact, especially. And this was before all this craziness happened, and I was saying, because there's so many people just stop being nice. You know, it's like, what happened to being just good to people? Like, you know, just common courtesy or common respect isn't very common anymore. Like, I don't know how many times I said, oh man, I really like this guy. He did this. My wife goes, oh, he should do that. That's normal, like, isn't it? I'm like, no. It used to be, yeah, but you know, now you just do a normal thing. Hey, you know, so.
I think you're a great role model. I don't know. I didn't see.
And that's the thing I used to say all the time. So you're a role model. It's interesting you say that. People used to say that to me, and I said, man, I didn't ask to be anybody's role model.
No.
I don't want to be. But no, I've come to the point now where I'm like, you know what, I am. Hey, I don't care if you ask for it. You got it. So start being one. You know, and I think it's made me more accountable for my actions too. Like the way I live my life. I don't care what other people. I do my thing. I earn the right to do whatever I want. I've already, you know, what I used to say. What have you done? Like I did everything I wanted in my career.
Yeah.
Now I can live however I want.
And not many people can really say that. You know, as we spoke off camera, you know, you've got a degree in accounting, which is, I guess most people, I didn't know that before. You've had a fantastic, you know, career as an athlete, you know, and an amazing career really. And you've been part of building one of the sort of, you know, one of the biggest sports now in the world. You know, and you're a nice guy.
Yeah, and I'm a nice guy. I treat people good, so it doesn't matter what I do. But whether I like it or not, people look up to me.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Well, you're a good person to fight, like particularly what's going on in the world now with so much craziness. You know, if I wanted someone for my son to look up to, you know, you're a good role model.
Yeah, well, it's funny too. Like I actually I have a couple of shirts that people gave me that I really like them. Like violence solves everything. You know, and I like a shirt like that because it's not the way I am.
Yeah.
But that's how people think I am. They want to. That's how they. So it makes people laugh. Like it's funny, and I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the way. I mean, it's like people today. Like I don't know, man. People just don't have respect for each other. Like, and you know, we can agree to disagree about things. It's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. You know, there's certain things we should all agree on, but for the majority of, like, you know, nuances to issues, I mean, hey, we can be okay. I've got a lot of friends that don't have the same beliefs I do. I mean, they're some of the common ones, but they have different ways of getting there. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay. So
Are you? Is there anything that scares you?
you know, that question I used to always say, like, people, the only thing that really scares me was like to catch a predator.
What's
Those Catch a Predator, that show where they have the guys like take advantage of kids or whatever,
right.
like trying to like that, like they catch guys trying to like something like that, like or I wasn't around and couldn't protect my kids, but other than that, I mean, I was one of those. I have a weird like I don't have a. Sometimes I think I probably should be more worried about certain things, but like you know, I always like so I go in a stunt car and they're like, oh, nothing, you're not scared of anything. I'm like, well, I just assume you guys aren't going to put me in danger. So like I guess I'm assuming they're not going to try something they don't know how to do real well because so I'm not worried about it. So I don't worry. And if I did, I probably wouldn't get in the car.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't think I have any like unreasonable fears. And you know, and it's one of those things like I would want. I wish I could remember how my grandpa taught me, because I had a thing like I've never been afraid of a man in my life. And my thing was because I was just raised that you can be in a fighting offense, we're fighting. You know, I don't care how big you are, how many people you got with you with. If you come in a fighting offense, we fighting. You know, one of my buddies, Brad Penny, he said to me, it's kind of thing. I don't know if I can kick your ass. Keep this shit up. We're gonna find out. And, you know, and that's kind of how I've always felt. Because one of my fighters just came into me one time, and he would walk in a bar and look around and see which guys you might be able to fight. And why? Why would I do that? I don't want to fight anybody.
Yeah.
If something happens, whether or not you fight or not, I'm going to fight them. You know, so it didn't matter. But you know, I think for me that was always made stuff a lot easier growing up. You weren't worried about anybody picking on you. But.
So what's your, you know, what's some of your at the moment? What's some of your favorite fighters then that you enjoy watching in the UFC?
Oh, favorite fighters? Shoot, I mean, well, Anderson Silva was one of my favorites to watch. Besides the guys that are really good friends, I mean, Matt Hughes is a good friend of mine. I love watching Matt. BJ Penn back in the day, good friends of mine. You know, the guys there's always that extra emotion if you know them. Robert Texera, still love to watch him fight. He's out there, still banging, tough kid, man. And most people, he's a lot like I am. He loves fighting. He loves his job. Like I like the guys that are real fighters. Like guys that. And like, for some of these guys, like I get it. Like some of these guys, like it's kind of weird nowadays. Like sometimes some of this PR stuff, they go a little overboard. Like,
Yeah.
I cause I always was like, you promote a fight, but there's always that little. There should be accepted. You know, certain things you leave out, certain things.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, if you're selling a fight, but within reason, you know, don't respect. It's like a mutual respect, like certain lines you don't cross.
Yeah.
But you know, some of these guys, you know, some of the guys, what's these guys touching their noses and face? I'm like, I don't know, like, because that's not okay. Like, you're not allowed to touch. We're facing off before a fight. You can do anything you want, but touch me.
Yeah.
Touching me is not okay.
Do you think some of that's now because of, like, you're right, there always seemed to be some sort of, you know, gentleman's agreement and it was fairly professional. Now, you know, you see some of the stuff nowadays and it does seem as though, I'm not sure whether it's all hype or I guess it helps to get headlines and get people
Well,
watching.
again, I do say it's trying to get, they are trying to get the people that aren't fight fans to watch. That's the stuff that gets them into it more, and that's okay. I mean, I guess that's okay, but I mean, there's certain little things that wouldn't have flown with me, but I think you figure that out right away, and I mean, you know, I don't know, like even with like, I mean, I was talking about the Khabib, you know, Conor thing, that big fight that happened. I mean, and like, okay, I get that you're angry and this and that, and why did it happen out in the front where everyone's going to break it up? I would have waited till we got in the back. I would have waited. We followed you right into your locker room. Had someone lock the door behind us. Man, we'll take care of this right here. I mean, that's because I'm not the guy like I'm not going to try to fight a guy at a bar somewhere where I'm just going to get broken up, and and everyone's jumping in and stopping it. If I want to fight you, I'll wait till I'll see you somewhere else. I'm going to see you where it's just you and me.
Yeah.
Or like there, if you want to fight, and I don't get me wrong, I thought that's talking about his religion, his mom, and I thought, hey, I get that, I understand Khabib's, but I guess I would have talked to him about maybe doing that in the back room,
Right.
Because for me, that whether or not they get fined or out there, it doesn't endanger fans, it doesn't endanger other people, for one, but more importantly, it doesn't get broken up.
Yeah. Do you think it's in some ways it's become a little bit more theatrical, like you were talking off camera about going to Brazil and 30-minute fights and no rules. That sounds like, I thought UFC was brutal, but that sounded as though it was pretty brutal. Is that on a different level to what you see on television now? Oh,
I mean, it's just different rules, different things. I mean, guys, we were fighting back then. It was cool. I mean, I actually, for me, doing the 30-minute fight, I was supposed to go down for an 8-man tournament.
For an 8-man?
I was going to be an 8-man tournament, so that's 3 fights in one night. And I actually, the guy that but they decided to do a 155-pound tournament and then do super fights. So I was one of the super fights. But the 155-pound tournament, so I'm watching it while we're fighting, before we fight. One guy fought 3 fights that night.
3 30-minute fights?
3 30 minutes. He won 3 30-minute fights. The guy that he beat finished his first guy in like the first minute. There's a second guy in like 2 minutes, so he had 3 minutes total coming up to the last fight. The other guy had 60 minutes logged in, and beat him in 90. It was pretty tough.
And you have to, and with the 30 minutes, you just go until someone can't go anymore. Is that?
They get 30 minutes straight, or the decision after the 30 minutes. But 30 minutes is like if they get submitted or knocked out, it's one round.
Right.
1 30-minute round. Gee. It was fun.
You got to be pretty fit to even attempt that.
Yeah, I was in great shape back then. It was like I had a bunch of kickboxing fights, but it was my 3rd mixed martial arts fight. Second one was closed fists. Like one was an open hand strike one, but
right. Crazy. So where did the Mohawk come from? It's your signature. Is that a branding thing? Or?
Well, no, it wasn't to start. Like here's what happened. We were in college wrestling, and we were all going to a Slayer concert.
Right.
And all my buddies decided they wanted to shave their heads. Now I'd had until 8th grade, I had my head like shaved a little shorter than this my whole life. I had it cut all the way down. And actually, I got my grandma and my grandpa let me grow it out a little bit longer, like about that long, when I was in high school, because in my junior high, a substitute teacher came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm really interested in you're a skinhead, right?" Like, and I'm like, I want to talk to me about my skinhead culture. Right? I'm like, I'm not a skinhead. What are you talking about, skinhead? No, my grandpa makes me cut my hair like this. What are you talking about? And I just told him laughing. I thought it was funny. Told my grandparents, and we don't want people thinking you're skinhead. Okay, we're gonna let you grow your hair out. So I had to grow my hair out a little bit. So anyway, fast forward, I'm 22, I think, and we're going to 21, 22. We're going to the Slayer concert, and I'm like, everyone's shaving their heads. I'm like, nah, I had my hair like that my whole life. I'm not doing that. Well, you gotta do something. Well, how about a mohawk? We'll do a mohawk. So I did a mohawk. And right after that, I went up and we did the Mid-State Fair. I worked the Mid-State Fair. I was security, Mid-State Fair for that's like 13 days straight up there, and we got paid good. I used to do like 12 hours during the day, and then I do the concerts at night. But I had the Mohawk, and that was the first time I had the Mohawk was for that, which is kind of funny because my buddies, one of my good buddies now was the guy that hired us, and he, I'm like a clean cut kid, and I show up with a Mohawk when he comes, and he's like, look at it, and he was a cop at the time, and he's like, he's looking at me like, whoa. But anyway, so we're doing that, and I got known by all the vendors and all this stuff as the guy with the Mohawk. And I just started working at a bar downtown too, in San Luis Obispo, and everyone knew me, and everyone, all of a sudden everybody knew who I was from there, and started, and I kind of liked they knew who I was, so I just kind of kept the Mohawk, and I just kind of went into when I was fighting, and I don't know if I would have kept it the whole time, but I'd gotten the tattoo on the side of my head.
What's that? Your karate?
I'm trying to. That's a whole other story,
okay.
But I'll get there. I'll do that one. I was why do that? So now tattoo. I started kickboxing, and I got the tattoo on the side of my head because when I started kickboxing, my original karate style was going to strip me of my black belt. Oh. And in my original karate style, you wear your gym patch, and it was Koi-Kon, Karate Do. You wear your gym patch until you're a black belt. When you're a black belt, this is what the patch you wear on your gi. So really, what I was saying was, F you, I earned it, you can't take it from me. And that's how I felt, and that's what I was doing. And I wanted to put it somewhere where they could see it.
Why did they take it from you?
Because I was bastardizing the art. Like, okay. I was going and fighting. I was doing something else. I wasn't doing Koi-Kon anymore. I was going to do kickboxing.
Right.
They're probably mad that I was going training with the guy that came to the gym to spar with me, kind of thing, you know.
Right.
It was probably.
So you was like, right, okay, I'm gonna.
So, but I'm not. I earned it. You can't take it from me. Is how I felt, and I put it up there because I was at that time was still planning on getting a real job, right. And I wanted it somewhere where you could see it without my shirt and take my shirt off. But when it was time to cover it up, it'd be easy.
Right.
So
unless you was like me, you go bald.
No, but it. Well, even if you go bald, it's still on this side. By the time I go bald, I'll already had a job for too long for them to fire me, right? But so I got it on my head, and so I had the tattoo. So
that's become your sort of.
So it became my look. But and then when I was kickboxing, so let's go to kickboxing. So I was working at a bar, and there was an incident with some guys in a fight. The guy had stole some money from a girl, and I went and chased him, got it back, and then they wanted to fight me, and then knocked one of them out, and it was all that stuff. So anyway, we ended up in court, and so I had a court case coming up, and I had a kickboxing match the week before I was going to court, and so I was growing. My lawyer at the time had me grow my hair out. He wanted me to grow my hair out, so I was growing my hair out. So I didn't have the mohawk for that. So I go out and I fight, and the promoter calls me the next day and goes, "Hey man, don't ever do that again. You can't show up. Everyone's mad. Like a bunch of my people are mad because you didn't show up to fight. They're expecting to see the guy. Where was the guy? How come the guy with the mohawk was there? You said he was going to fight. I had a second round knockout in that fight, head kick knockout, but they didn't know it was me, so they were mad. And I'm like, for me, from there, I'm like, well, that makes it okay. That it's easily identifiable. Mm. And so that's, which is funny, is John Peretti, the original matchmaker before Dana and those guys bought it and took it over. Thought it was goofy and I should get rid of the mohawk back then. I don't know. I guess what's he know?
Yeah, what does he know? So just to wrap up then, Chuck, couple of quick questions then. So you're on Dancing with Stars, I believe. How did you, when you was in there, obviously it was very much outside your comfort zone, but did you take the same winning attitude in that competition?
Oh,
as well?
You could ask him. I worked harder than probably anybody.
Really?
I mean, I worked harder, but I should have been smarter. I mean, I should have learned a little different. But I was trying to do my best. I put in as many hours as I could. I mean, I was doing long days and trying. Michael Irving was on the same time as me, and he said it really. I heard him say it one time on there and said it really well. I'm used to telling my body what to do, and it just does it. I've been an athlete my whole life, used to that. Dancing with the Stars, dancing, it just didn't work that way. Well, and the thing is like, and really the basic position for, I mean, I don't know how if I can stand up, but the basic position they want you in for all of dancing is the one position where in every sport I've ever done, if you're in that position, you're screwed. If you ever get in that position, you're done. That's the position you never want to be in. No. And Anna from the Sky was my partner, and she's like, and like I get behind a step and I try to catch up, but like as soon as I need to catch up, I go into fight mode, right? So I go into fight stance mode. See, and she's like, the problem is when you create that space with me and get like that big as you are, so I got to go three times as far now to get to my spot, which is not easy. And she's the other really hard thing for a guy like me. And she said it on the next season that she was in, and she called me afterwards, like after she said it on the top of her head, she's apologizing, and I was like, she's so sweet. But I'm like, she called me, it's like a Sherman tank. It's like, if he went the wrong way, I can't chase him. I'm like, she's like, I really didn't mean it like that, like in a bad way. I'm like, no, I get it. She's good. We're good. We're being mean. You were being that's a good way of saying it. Like, basically, she couldn't back lead me. Like right. A lot of small guys, the girls will just help pull them along and back lead them. They can lead them, right? Right. For me, like if I go the wrong way, we're going that way. She was not changing my. Actually, for that show, I was about 230 when they signed me on to do that show, and I was with Dana. Thank you. But anyway, for that show, I did the show the whole time about at 2:15. Because if you can see, I was just looking at that, I was laughing, looking at showing the pictures. I said, "Is that the picture we took the first time we got together there?" And there's the pictures when I actually started dancing, and it was 2:30 to 2:15. Wow. And for me, it's a big difference because I carry all my weight right here. Right. So anytime I'm big, like I'm 15 pounds bigger, it looks worse than it is. But we were messing around before, and Dana goes to me at the gym, and he's like, "We're saying, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna be down at 215 in a month." And he didn't know I signed on to Dance with the Stars yet, so he didn't know I had something going on. And I go, "I'll be 215 in a month." No way. So, 10 grand says you won't. I looked at him and said, "Dana, for 10 grand, I'll be 15 pounds lighter tomorrow." And he's like, "No, you can't cut weight. You have to actually be real weight." And he actually bet me, and he paid up. I sent him pictures 2 days before, 1 day before with me taking the on weight. But that motivated, like that for me, like that, having that bet or having that motivation, I probably wouldn't have made it down for just for the show, because you don't have that, like I don't
that
need to.
Competition, that goal to go after.
But when you make a bet, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
It was legit. It was fun. But it got me out. I did that show at 2:15.
So, final question then, Chuck. Escape Your Limits is about escaping what you've believed or other people have said is impossible and gone on to make it possible. What would be an example of escaping your own personal limits?
Actually, one of the things I had up on my board when I fought, because I put up it was different things on my mirror when I was training, and the one thing. One thing I put up, and no one wants to see Chuck fight. Something someone said to Dana when the Fertittas when they first bought the company. It was basically, Tito's management and those people and other people were like, if he's your champion, I think Tito's manager at the time said, if Chuck's your champion, you'll die. He's got no personality. He's got no fan appeal. I wasn't a loudmouth. I wasn't, And when I heard that drove me more than anything.
Really?
To be, that was up for the rest of my career after that. That was after after one of the fights. Well, the first fight that the UFC, that Dana and Lorenzo put on, when they took over, and I had that up. And the funny thing is, I came out the next fight I was there, and Tito, like, I was weighing in. Tito, holy abdominals, Batman! Like, I showed up in Babs, and I'm like, it was just that to me was a big driving force. And like I said, they were complaining about, okay, you're not, before I became champion, you're just not doing good enough for your interviews. I went and got an interview coach. No one taught me how to do. I'm a smart guy. You don't know how to do interviews. Guys, back then especially, guys asked you the dumbest questions. Like I wrote out the questions for the interview coach, 10 of them. Okay, there isn't a good question in here. Number one, actually said write down the 10 most common questions. And there's not one good question in here. There's only about 3 questions. And because we get guys that no one knew what we were talking about, because no one knew what MMA was. They were just doing it because they had to.
Right.
But they did few good lessons on. I did two lessons with her, and man, your interviews are so much better. You're doing so much better. Like, what happened? I actually told them, I said, well, I went and got a coach. You guys keep telling me to get better, but not telling me how. Like, it's like me telling you to go, hey, punch harder. Well, punch harder. Like, how? Like, help.
Yeah.
But and the funny thing is, after that, I heard of them getting other guys, interview coaches, to help out. But it's a skill, like anything else. But like, that was the thing. I was like, you tell me I can't entertain people. Like, I'll figure it out. I mean, I'm not gonna change my personality, but I can answer. It comes down to, like, my best interviews ever have always been with guys that are really good at doing interviews.
Right.
It's really good. They're great interviews. Why? Because I can talk.
Yeah.
I can have a conversation with somebody. I'm not, I don't have a bunch of
sound bites.
I don't have a bunch of sound bites made up, and I'm not like a meathead. Like, I'm not going to just go out and say stupid. I'm not going to give you your typical, WWE type one. Nothing wrong with it. That's good too. And the guy, I'm not mad at guys like Chael. Chael Sonnen was one of those big loudmouth interview guys. Loudmouth guys said crazy stuff, but hey, he got himself a couple title shots, and he was one of the most boring fighters out there. Yeah, he's like a throwback to the ground and lay and pray guys, like. But sorry, like messing with him. But yeah, I don't know.
So you put it on the mirror, and that was
my thing, and that drove me. Like that got me. That we need a little extra motivation. That was there always. Yeah. And it's one of those things, like, I've always kind of been like that with other things. Tell me I can't do something. It's like, tell me I have to do something or I can't do something. If you want me to do it, I mean, I tell me I can't. Like, I'm not going to be able to. You can't do this. You can't do that. And
that's your fuel.
I'll show you I can. Now, I'm not saying for people like that. That doesn't mean like something I don't want to do. Like, if I don't want to do it, you tell me not to do it. That's not gonna make me do it.
Mm.
You don't have to. Oh, I dare you. I don't care. Dare me for anything. I don't care. But you want to. No one asks if it's something I want to do and I tell me I can't. I'll figure out a way.
There's going to be some problems. Well, Chuck, thank you so much. We could have talked all evening. I know you've got to go, but thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely wonderful. And like I say, I know you've got a lot going on, and it means a lot to me, and hopefully to many of the people that will get to listen to this interview. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.